Hello value investors, welcome. In today's video we're going to talk about portfolio diversification. If you're interested in growing your savings for some kind of project or for retirement, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe so you can get my next video installment. In today's video I'm going to talk about how many stocks you should have, whether you should be invested in dividend stocks or non-dividend paying stocks. Maybe you should include some bonds. And also I'm going to talk about whether you should leave cash on the sides and how much cash. So let's get started. I believe it's worthwhile tackling these questions in reverse order. First question is how much cash you should leave on the side. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I approach investing as a business. So I have enough cash on the side to be able to withstand at least a year or two with absolutely no income. Because when things hit the fan, they hit the fan at a very rough time. And you might lose your job, the market could be down. So you need enough breathing room so that it comes hell or high water, you're still very much able to outride the storm. Okay? So you need enough capital on the side for at the very least 12 months. So if you lose your job, your partner loses their job, you're both out of a job, you don't need to draw down those savings immediately because the market could be down. You don't know. So with that in mind, you need to leave some cash on the side. Whatever's left from that, you should treat it as a business. And by that I mean, every first of each month, you should put aside a predetermined amount into your savings. What's more, you should not consider whether the market is up or down, because you're saving for that retirement, or you're saving for your grandchild's tuition fees or something. So you need to have that mindset that I'm not going to touch this capital for 3 or 5 years. So that's the horizon you need to be thinking of. So if the market is down today, or the market is possibly looking like it's going to be down over the next month, what difference does it make 5 years down the road? In 5 years' time, today's market is going to look cheap in comparison. Okay? So don't try to predict where the market is going to be next month, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months on the road. The market is totally unpredictable over the next 12 months. But you're making an assumption of where the market could be in 5 years. That's a much easier investment to make. What's more, don't try to predict where the market is going to go, but pick out a few key businesses, strong, high quality, free cash flow generating businesses, and try to understand whether you think they're going to be more relevant in the next 5 years' time. That's a much easier investment to make rather than trying to predict where the market's going to be over the next 12 months. The next idea that I believe is worth discussing is whether you should have bonds or dividend paying stocks in your portfolio. So as I said at the start of the video, you should approach your investment savings as a business. You don't need to seek out a dividend paying stock. The reasons are twofold. First, a dividend paying stock might not be a very good quality business. It might have stagnated, has not a lot more opportunities to grow within its market, so it's simply deploying its excess free cash flow to you as a shareholder via a very ineffective way, because the company pays taxes on the dividend, and you as a shareholder also pay income tax. So that is not necessarily a good investment. It could be. There are many companies that pay a dividend. I don't have any position in Nvidia, but that does pay a dividend, has a very strong potential ahead. There's the question of the valuation, But with the valuation aside, there are many businesses that have strong potential ahead and they pay a dividend. So having a dividend doesn't necessarily exclude it from being a good business. Now, many viewers say, I like having a dividend because I like the certainty that over the next year I'm getting a 4% return. Now, in a stock market, there is no such thing as free lunch. You may get that 4% dividend, but if your investment has lost capitalization of, let's say, 50% over, let's say, 5 years, that is not a particularly strong investment. So you have the certainty of getting a 4%. For example, let's talk about IBM. So IBM pays a dividend, but if you look back since approximately 2012, any investor that's come into IBM after 2012 has more likely than not lost money. So you have the certainty of getting a dividend, but your investment as a whole has depreciated over time. So to answer the question of whether you should have bonds or dividend-paying stocks, it doesn't really matter that much. What you're trying to do as an investor, what you're trying to do as a value investor, is simply stack the deck in your favor. So you're trying to buy something for less than it can be worth 5 years down the road. That's the goal. It's not to get it to the cheapest day on the cheapest of the cheapest year, but simply to have between today and 5 years down the road, your asset appreciating over time. So the answer should not be dividend paying stocks or non-dividend paying stocks or bonds. It should be, where can I buy the best businesses at a significant discount? That is the question. So that's what you as an investor should be working towards. And I've left the last question, which I believe could be the most important question, to last. So for you that stuck around, we're going to get into the meat of this now. How many stocks should a person have in a portfolio? Now, as I said at the beginning, you should approach your savings as a business. Okay? So, you should not be trying to go all out and gamble it away and only have, let's say, 2 or 3 stocks in your portfolio. That is very difficult. Now you may say, hey Michael, Charlie Munger does this. He's a very good investor. True. But you and I are not Charlie Munger. Sad facts. So if you also remember about when Charlie Munger was investing, when he went into the 72, 73 oil crisis, 80% of his partnership's capital was invested in 2 stocks. And in the first year he was down approximately 30%, and in the next year it was down something like 30% again. So his partnership eroded significantly because when the market totally collapsed, there was no maneuverability for those 2 years. Now 2 years of underperformance so dramatically would put most people out of the game. Not Charlie, but there again, you and I are not Charlie Munger. So my idea is that you should be a little bit diversified. But then you go to the other extreme. You could say, I've got 20 stocks. Now, after the first 15, you're just diluting out. It's like, this could work out. You're not doing the due diligence. You're not doing the hard work that it takes to buy great businesses. So the way you should really approach this could be what Mohnish Pabrai talks about, the 10 by 10 portfolio. This means you put 10% into 10 positions. I don't have up-to-date evidence of Mohnish's portfolio, but I do believe that when he was doing the 10 by 10 portfolio, he was doing fairly well versus the S&P. It could be that his recent underperformance is simply that the market is just tailed off and it's very, very difficult to keep up with a bullish market. That's one reason. Another reason could be that value keeps changing, and the way that people were doing value investing in 2008 and 2009 and 10 and 12, in today's market is a decade later, things are quite different. It could be, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that a 10 by 10 portfolio makes a lot of sense. And if you look at someone like Joe Greenblatt, he was doing 80% of his capital in approximately 5 stocks. Now, that was when he was doing Gotham Capital, and that was from approximately 1986 to 1999. Now, that was when he was compounding very aggressively. But again, you and I are not Joe Greenblatt. And there was a lot less competition in the late 80s into the early 90s on Wall Street. Now, the competition is not only from the United States or from Canada, there's people in Europe, people in Malaysia, people in China. So it's very, very competitive. So the way you should approach your investments is like a business owner. You should try to pick out strong businesses with strong free cash flow. I believe that approximately 10 stocks works very well. I also believe that you should average into your investments. That means that you should be buying in small chunks. I've got a video here that helps on that front. So I believe that you as an investor, having a long-term horizon of approximately 5 years, leaving some cash on the side so that if you lose your job or if you need those funds desperately quickly, you got 12 months or 24 months to give you breathing space. So in conclusion, having a diversified portfolio is very, very important. You don't want it too diversified because then you're watering down your best ideas. It's ideas that should work out, could work out, or things that you realized, this didn't work out, but I just don't want to confront that pain. But I will tell you something. The once you sold an underperforming business, it's actually not that painful. It's the reality. We as human beings don't want to confront the reality, but we're very, very well predisposed to overcome complication, to overcome troubles. So just because something you haven't realized the loss doesn't mean that when you do, everything falls down apart. You might actually feel, okay, I've held this business for 5 or 6 years, I thought X, it did Y, and might be a good reason to prune down your portfolio to get it down to about 12 or 10 positions in the portfolio. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you on next time.